You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Netroots Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for the week of January 30th, 2026. It's not safe for work.
This is recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where we're watching Republicans rehearse their I was never really MAGA speeches for 2027. It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal.
Well, we learned this week, as if we didn't already know it, that Republican gaslighting will continue until the gaslighters are gone. Are gone.
Yes.
Yep, that's a pun on argon, a gas which is tasteless and inert, like the Republicans in Congress. But remember, argon is also a noble gas. Noble, like the resistors in Minnesota. And as you know by now, Representative Ilhan Omar was attacked at a Minneapolis town hall by a man who I almost feel sorry for. Almost.
Almost, yeah.
He sprayed her with some sort of vinegar-smelling chemical after she called for Kristi Noem's impeachment. And Ilhan did not flinch.
Nope.
Ilhan went after him, and of course he was taken down by security. Not shot.
Nope. Just arrested.
And Representative Omar continued with the town hall anyway.
Yeah. She said, I've been through war, you know.
Yeah, what the hell?
I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But this was from The Hill just hours later. Quote, President Trump, without evidence, suggested Representative Ilhan Omar staged an incident during her town hall Tuesday night when a man sprayed her with an unknown substance. I don't think about her. I think she's a fraud, Trump told ABC News. She probably had herself sprayed, knowing her, unquote.
Some people say that about you getting shot, Mr. President.
Yeah, some people just think you're a giant
I've
asshole.
heard people say that maybe that shooting was a total fake.
Yeah, maybe. I've heard a lot
I don't
of people
agree
say
with that, but, you know, some people say you rehearsed the response.
Well, and this week has been an exercise in the White House, all up and down the power structure, just coming out with the most slanderous, crazy, damning bullshit without any proof at all.
Because they're cornered.
Yeah, they're cornered rats, and you know how they are.
The Associated Press tells the actual story, quote, attacker is a convicted felon and Trump supporter. So that's a twofer, Driftglass.
Yeah.
The man who sprayed the unknown substance on Omar is a convicted felon who made online posts supportive of Trump. Minnesota court records show Anthony Kazmierzak, 55, was convicted of felony auto theft in 1989 and has had multiple arrests for driving under the influence, along with a slew of traffic offenses. There are also indications he has had significant financial problems, including 2 bankruptcy filings.
Well, wait a minute. He's a felon with bankruptcy filings, just like Donald Trump?
He's living the dream, Driftglass, just like he's living Donald Trump's dream. He doesn't have a Mar-a-Lago yet.
He's getting there.
In social media posts, Kazmierzak described himself a former network engineer who lives in Minneapolis. He's criticized President Joe Biden and referred to Democrats as angry and liars. Trump wants the U.S. is stronger and more prosperous. Kazmierzak wrote, stop other countries from stealing from us. Bring back the fear that enemies back away from and gain respect. That if anyone threatens ourselves or, friends, we will, and then expletive, them up, unquote. As I said on Blue Sky, the term for people with names like Kazmierzak turning around and hating, quote unquote, immigrants, we call that Bartiromoing.
Yeah. Is that named after an actual person, Blue Gal? Because I've looked that up.
We did a whole podcast about her ways back.
We sure did. So the question of the day is, what will the average voter, quote unquote, think of this? Because we've listened to like David Plouffe being interviewed on a couple of podcasts. He's all over the place. You can catch him in your town or city. And he's a very smart guy. But his takeaways are troubling. That however bad Trump's numbers become, Democrats' numbers are somehow as bad or worse. Democrats are polling as badly as they ever have. And if Democrats want to have any shot at consistently winning the White House and the Senate, something must be done about this because the average voter believes Democrats suck just about as bad as Republicans. And Pluff is not alone. You hear this all over the place, especially over at the Pod Save Lads house and at the Never Trumper podcasts. What Democratic candidates need to do, according to them, is run against the party. Choose some heterodox position that Democrats generally don't believe in or agree with and run on them. And I think that leaves us with a bunch of stuff to talk about here, Blue Gal.
Yeah. Maybe they should run against abortion rights.
Well, I'm thinking
how that works out for them.
Yeah, I think they should maybe try to repeal gay marriage. I think a lot of people on the right
that'll show everybody.
A lot of people, in that average voter group, that undecided voter group.
Maybe they should campaign against affordable housing.
Oh, I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Or maybe repealing Medicaid and Medicare.
And Medicare,
privatizing Social Security.
Just to mess everybody up. That's, confuse everyone.
Yeah. And because
we do have some stuff to talk about here.
Yeah, because we have listened to people give this advice to Democrats for years. Mm-hmm. And it's not always in bad faith. This is among some people who would actually like Democrats to win. And nobody ever gets, we have noticed, within a mile of asking what it seems to us to be a very simple yet critically important question. And that is, where the hell are these so-called average voters or low propensity voters, normal voters, low information voters, whatever you want to call them, where exactly are they getting their information? How exactly are they forming their opinions about Democrats, Blue Gal?
Yeah. And my genius son, I'll just say, he's a genius.
He's a genius.
Political science major in college.
Hell yeah.
He has a theory about this, which is
hit me.
Lower middle class white people fucking hate their lives. Yeah. And they think they deserve so much more than they're getting out of being an American. And so they can be tricked into blaming gays and immigrants and women and everybody else.
Yeah.
But the deal is, regardless of who's running, regardless of what the deal is, they're going to vote against the incumbent because they want their life to change. That's what they want. They also are willing to suspend disbelief and vote for the person who tells the biggest lie about how great their life is going to be if they vote for him or her or whoever it is.
Yeah.
So that's why Trump wins all the time.
Yeah.
All your dreams will come true. You said this in the last podcast.
Yeah.
The Pedro vote.
Yeah.
Vote for me and all your dreams will come true. I'll have perfect health care, a fraction of the cost.
Mm-hmm. In 2 weeks. In just 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'll bring down the price of eggs to prices I'll decrease prescription prices by 5,000%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And dumb people and hopeless people, frankly, believe that.
Well, it's, on the one hand, because losing your democracy and being rolled over by fascist goons is simply an abstraction, whereas the price of eggs is concrete. And he's going to bring down the price of eggs, and that's worth sacrificing a little freedom.
A major American city. Right.
Well, as long as it's other people that get shot, it's okay.
But it's not. It's not. White, lower middle class people getting shot, working people.
Yep.
That's what's twisting in the wind at this moment. Now, is the problem really that Democrats are, in fact, all the awful things these people say they believe?
Mm-hmm.
Condescending, snooty. We heard one candidate for office yesterday bitching that Democrats talk too much. They explain things in too much detail and use too many big words.
Guilty. Okay.
We are guilty of that.
Guilty as charged. I'm not running for anything.
Health insurance for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Those are small, simple words.
They are.
So is that really the main problem? Or is it that average voters, those low information voters, normal voters, believe these things because they're listening to the polluted, toxic sources of information that have been poisoning the general public against Democrats for decades? And to sound smart and savvy at the bar, do they just repeat what they've heard? It's hard for me to say on the Sunday shows 1,000 times because they don't watch the Sunday shows.
No.
But, or PBS NewsHour. They don't watch those. But if they just say both sides are equally bad, they sound like they've thought about it.
Yeah,
which they haven't.
They have opinions. They have opinions.
Right. It
and
sounds
they're
like they have an
well-formed.
opinion, and then they can move on to sports. And that's fine. Moving on to sports is great. But how many times in a week or months do you hear people complaining about politicians or Congress and not Republicans? And they are never specific to say Republicans in Congress because, they don't want to get into a whole thing. And they don't want to get in trouble with their friends in the bar. One of them might be a Republican. You don't know.
Or their coworkers around
Or their
what used to be.
They don't want to fight. They don't know that much about politics, but they want to sound like they have an opinion. And the opinion that's safest is, Washington. Both sides are terrible. And they don't, you're right. They don't want to alienate anyone. They just want to conform to the easiest, most uncontroversial group opinion in the world that makes them sound slightly smarter than they are. Both sides are equally bad.
Yeah.
It's so endemic that, you know what, Driftglass? We fully expect Chuck Schumer himself to run against politicians in Washington in the next cycle.
The vision of that just cracks me up.
But it could happen.
Him out on the streets of New York, shaking his bony fist.
Politicians in Washington don't understand working people.
Politicians in Washington don't understand. Yeah.
Soup, Driftglass. A nice bowl of hot soup on a cold day.
Oh, that'll take the sting out of the politicians in Washington screwing you over. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm going to do a hard pivot to this could be considered a science fiction university reference, I suppose. By the way, I heard from my brother.
Yeah.
He's a fan of Science Fiction University.
Oh, cool.
He said, I was on a drive and I turned on and it's actually good. And again, the word actually is just, it stings a little bit.
Well, he had to dig at you.
Yeah, he did.
And I think including Science Fiction University, I got an email from Buzzsprout, our platform, podcast platform, this week, congratulating us on recording 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of Science Fiction University.
Yes, I'm sure.
So we don't consider Professional Podcast to be at their 1,000th episode yet. But, what is this one? This is 965.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we've got 35 more to go. That means this year we'll be celebrating our 1,000th episode.
Yeah. Boy, are my arms tired, as the joke goes. So this is a quick pivot into science fiction because I'm going to cite Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, which is the companion piece to 1984. It used to be in high school. Everybody read both of them. Now I believe nobody reads Brave New World, and everybody knows 1984 by heart, pretty much, or parts of it. But in Brave New World, the world state indoctrinates its citizens using sleep teaching, which Huxley called hypnopedia. The state uses repeated slogans whispered to sleeping children to instill caste identity, morality, and social stability, and ensuring unquestioning loyalty and compliance to the state. It does not work for intellectual learning, which we find out in the book, for teaching math or geography, but it's incredibly powerful for conditioning subconscious beliefs, the things you just automatically believe without thinking. And this is what the Both Sides Do It Lie does over and over again, decade after decade, tens of thousands of times in all kinds of venues to tilt the opinions of those average voters, to drill it into their head that it's always fucking both sides. And if this is the case, if we are correct about this, doesn't it necessarily follow that rather than the two parties having an inverse relationship to one another, which would be natural, one goes up, one goes down, in the mind of the average voter, Democrats are actually shackled to Republican unpopularity. As Republican unpopularity increases, the average voter will automatically lower their opinions of Democrats too, because Both Sides Do It has become an article of faith with them, not a fact, and maintaining the equilibrium of their dogmatic belief system is more important than mere facts. And I know I've told this story before, so bear with me because no one is going to hire me at the Atlantic to tell it, so I'll have to tell it here. It's a tale about Jennifer Granholm and loudmouth one-term Congressman Joe Walsh. Jennifer Granholm was the Secretary of Energy under Joe Biden. She gave a speech about energy. Now, Joe Walsh got all up on his high horse about how Jennifer Granholm came out and said, if you want to solve the problem of high gas prices, just go buy yourself an electric car. Boom, problem solved. Let's move on. And he just went completely off on her, Like, this is what liberals always do. This is what Democrats always do. They have no conception of how hard it is for the working man and working woman in this country that have to drive gas-powered vehicles. They just dismiss it. Look, go buy a $30,000 electric car. Your problems will go away. These people don't have that kind of money. They're living paycheck to paycheck, blah, 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 blah. What she should have said is, U.S. needs to go into everything. We need more nuclear and more solar and more wind and more drilling and more fracking and more refining, because lots of people drive gas vehicles. God damn it.
What the policy of Jennifer Granholm's Energy Department is.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's not just the policy. He's quoting a sentence she said out loud. Okay? Now, here's the thing. That sentence, and he's really mad about it. And it wasn't just Jennifer Granholm. It's that immediate leap from here's one thing one person said. All Democrats are like this. This is what all Democrats do. Liberals are just terrible at this sort of thing. That one sentence comes from a speech by Jennifer Granholm, which is followed by an interview with Jennifer Granholm, in which she said, we need more nuke, we need more solar, we need more drilling, we need all of the above solutions, because people in this country drive gas cars, and we got to be considerate of people who cannot afford electric vehicles. We got to have a solution for them too, because the world's going to the batteries, but we need to bring people along with affordable alternatives for what they can afford. And she said it during the speech. She said it during the interview. Exactly what Joe Walsh said she should have said. She is what she did say. Now, how did that sentence come into existence? A MAGA asshole out there clipped it from her speech out of context and put it on X.
Yep.
Next thing you know, it had 1 million retweets.
Yep.
After that, it got elevated to where? Fox News. Yeah. Where it made the rounds. Finally, Joe Walsh, who doesn't read the fucking speech, who didn't bother to check into it, it just triggered that MAGA brain in his head, that Republican wiring that's always there and is never going to go away. That, oh, look, an uppity liberal energy secretary is lecturing poor people on what they should do. And that liberals are always this way. And that's what drives me crazy. Did Jennifer Granholm really do what he accuses her of doing? No. Did he bother to fucking find out what she actually said? Of course not. Because what?
But the right-wing hate machine wins in that scenario every time. Gave him a trigger.
And they will hunt down one thing that one person said out of context or just make some shit up. And that automatically triggers the both sides reaction. Yeah. Which is, well, this is what all liberals do all the time, all Democrats. And I don't know of any way to get that out of our system. Anyway, I'm done with my little side quest here.
And this points back to, just briefly, something that youngest child said to me. Middle child said to me, of when Democrats get into power, they'd better do something.
Yeah.
And I looked at her like,
okay,
like reform the healthcare of this country, as Obama tried to do, and we have some opposition, that kind of stops a lot of what we want to try to do.
And there's absolutely no acknowledgement that there is an entire party out there dedicated to sabotaging
everything that we try to do.
And our system is built, unfortunately, that gives a minority party a lot of power, unless that minority party elects a dictator like Trump, who just says, fuck the law,
and
fuck the rules.
I hope the next Democratic president pushes on that.
I hope so, too.
Says, Trump did it. Trump set the precedent. I get to sign executive orders giving Medicare the right to sell their policies on the exchange.
I hope the next
do that.
I hope the next Democratic president doesn't just do that, but he wears or she wears a Karl Marx mask, sits on the lawn of the White House and does it all with a fucking auto pen. Naked. Fuck these people.
I'm letting the auto pen sign my executive order to give everyone affordable health care while I sit here and watch it.
Right.
Because fuck Fox News. Yeah. I mean, you and I have fantasies about how our presidencies would last less than 4 minutes.
Oh yeah, it would be memorable.
It'd be a memorable 4 minutes. Maybe we get some good done.
It'd be amazing.
But I'm thinking about that, and then I'm thinking about what Mayor Mamdani is getting done with a definite mandate.
Right, exactly.
And let's face it, a very well-educated populace, regardless of the fact that there are, tremendous number of working-class people in that city.
Right.
They are educated, and they are informed.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a mandate for universal pre-K. He has a mandate to clean up the business the city does with these particularly evil landlords.
Yeah. Well, I also would like to remind people that when Barack Obama was first elected, he came in with a clear mandate.
Yeah, he did.
The immediate reaction from the right, you might remember from Jon Stewart and Comedy Central, tyranny has come to America.
Tyranny has come to America.
This is fascism. It's just
also,
fascism. That's what it is.
And unprepared for the office of the White House at the same time that he's a tyrant. Yes.
No. This wasn't months into it. This is the same fucking day he was elected.
Right. And the day Donald Trump was elected, sunshine and, fairies are flying around blessing everyone with sprinkle wonderful dust. That's how Fox operates. And it doesn't matter what 99% of Democrats, in fact, do, because to meet their business model, both conservative media and the legacy media will hunt down that 1%, or, as you said with Joe Walsh, just invent some liberal villain out of whole cloth. So they can each say, see, Dems really are that bad. They are just as bad.
Yep.
Or they're worse.
It's a cult. It's a cult.
This keeps Republicans voting Republican because their delusions of moral superiority are reinforced. And it keeps the average voter happy because it tickles their both sides do it pleasure center and keeps them feeling smug and neutral and see, I'm better than what's going on in Washington.
Yeah, I'm above that. I'm above that corrupt nonsense that goes on in Washington.
In which case, even running a heterodox campaign may not save you because you still have a D after your name.
Mm-hmm.
And if Democrats are always going to be chained in with Republicans as they're both bad, they're both terrible, neither party is good, neither party does anything for me, which Democratic Party principle, as we'd said, are you willing to sacrifice to get the average voter enough on your side to vote for you?
Yeah, because if you look at the data, average voters do have very strong opinions about Democrats. This is from the Pew Research Center in 2023. 59% of Americans said Democrats are, quote, out of touch with ordinary Americans. This includes 43% of those independents.
The New York fucking Times Siena College poll in 2023-24, voters repeatedly said Democrats talk about macroeconomic statistics instead of lived experience. We should say they agreed with that statement.
Right. Because macroeconomics.
People answering polls do not speak about macroeconomic statistics.
Well, it kind of, it's ironic. It is hilariously, unintentionally ironic that we would use a big, snooty liberal word with lots of syllables like macroeconomics to talk about what liberals are doing with the vocabulary.
What average people don't like about Democrats. Yes.
I don't like them all with the macroeconomics stuff. The AP NORC poll from 2023, only 44% said Democrats are, quote, effective at governing. Again, the middle child problem. There is
well, and this is when you say, well, what about, who's really effective at governing is Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
He blocked everything Barack Obama tried to do, and it worked. Navigator Research 2024, key complaint, Democrats promise big things and deliver partial results they don't explain well.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah. How many different times did Barack Obama and everybody in the Obama White House hit the road to explain in the simplest possible terms how the Affordable Care Act was going to work? And how many times did Republicans counter with, he's a Kenyan usurper and there's death panels.
Wants to kill your grandmother.
It's a big bill. You don't even need to read it. I'll read it. I'll tell you what's in it. The Gallup poll 2023, only 39% of Americans believe Democrats focus, quote, mostly on the right issues, unquote. But, and here's the fun fact that you're all going to just love, according to polls taken by outfits like the Kaiser Family Foundation, when policies are described without party labels, many Democratic policies poll really, really well. Healthcare.
And then those same voters say, well, Donald Trump's for that.
Right. I don't like, I like the Affordable Care Act, but not Obamacare.
Right.
Healthcare polls really high. Prescription drug caps and ACA protections all poll really strongly when you detach them from party branding. So here's the question of the day. How can it possibly be that only 39% of Americans believe Democrats focus mostly on the right issues, but the issues Democrats focus on are really popular and help average Americans. Huh, Blue Gal?
Well, I got news for you, Driftglass.
Yeah.
It's because the opinions in average poll replies are shit.
Yes, they are.
They're all based on the vibes and feels of people who, frankly, are too fucking lazy to, learn who their actual representative is, what that representative actually says, and how they vote.
Yeah, can't be trouble to learn anything. The Pew Research Center consistently finds that a majority of Americans cannot name the leaders of Congress. And multiple surveys over the last 20 years have shown that about half of Americans cannot correctly identify their own U.S. House representative. And fewer than that can name both the House and Senate representatives from their state and their district.
And I will say we did make a mistake saying Chris Murphy was a representative in the last episode. He's a senator.
Yeah, shame on us.
Sorry about that.
We're terrible people, and we apologize. We do apologize for our mistakes. According to the Annenberg Public Policy Center, American knowledge of their own representation remains surprisingly low, Blue Gal.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a strong democracy, actually, in general.
Yeah.
If the average American can ignore it. But we are now entering a time have entered a time where it's no longer possible.
Well, we entered the time 30 years ago when it was dangerous to start ignoring what was going on the right.
Exactly.
But the legacy media was right there to say, "Don't worry, everything's fine. Everything's fine."
Both sides are equally bad.
Yeah, just go back to sleep and buy some shit.
Just for fun, we looked up how many Americans have ever watched C-SPAN.
Yeah.
One time. Mm-hmm. It's less than 1%.
That free service where you can watch what Congress is doing if you really, really care. And that is the state of play where we're at. The average American has no fucking idea what's going on and has probably never heard more than a 30-second ad from their congressional representative, couldn't tell you which party believes what, and yet at the same time has an unshakable belief, a religious conviction that both sides are equally bad because of the lies that both the conservative media and the legacy media tells them over and over and over again, and crucially, because there is no liberal media to effectively push back on those lies.
And what David Plouffe is proposing is that individual Democrats should run essentially as mini third-party candidates.
Yay.
Grab a little third way, 2 cups of no labels, a cup of forward party, and if you want to lure some loosely affiliated MAGA goof into the tent, sprinkle a generous helping of some lightly coded language from George Wallace's segregationist third-party run in 1968. Punch a few hippies.
Yep.
Say something slightly white, white nationalist.
Yep.
Coded.
Go slander a trans person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That'll get you.
That's what'll win over the middle.
Yeah. The whole, I don't know what's going on. I just know both parties are bad. And these
know Republicans are bad, but Democrats want to send my son home and make him a girl at school.
And all I know is that these various groups make me feel icky. And if they make you feel icky too, maybe I can trust you. A whole army of nominally Democratic candidates all running on wildly different platforms. Hey, I'm sure that'll end well. And they all have to be edgy, got to be really edgy. Very important that they get out there and shock the nation. Got to be edgy. And a fighter. Got to be a fighter, Blue Gal. But they all have to be in agreement that their own party kind of sucks. And wait for it, that politicians in Washington have screwed things up. Which, when you think about it, is kind of hilarious. A whole army of nominal Democrats running as a synthesis of every David Brooks column ever written. But edgy, got to be edgy. And going along with the biggest and most toxic lie in politics, the lie that, let's face it, put the Democrats in this corner in the first place. What could possibly go wrong with a strategy like that, Blue Gal?
You want to be edgy, you want to stand out from the crowd, you want a truly heretical position to stand behind. How about telling these average voters, those undecided, low-information voters, that the shit they're so angry about is their own damn fault? You fucked around, you found out.
Yeah. Go tell them that.
Because they couldn't be bothered to pay the most minimal attention to what was happening to their own country and who was doing it. You didn't even remember that Donald Trump was convicted of fraud in August, and you went in November and voted for that fucker. Because of eggs.
Well, and Somalis eating people's pets.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
And don't forget, my son coming home a daughter from school.
Well, and to be fair, Kamala had a weird laugh, Blue Cow.
Go around telling voters the unvarnished truth, and your candidacy will burn itself out in a matter of weeks, if not days.
Mm-hmm.
But it will all have been glorious. Just like our presidency's Driftglass.
A glorious bonfire where we get up and bullworth the truth, and then we're done, because nobody wants to hear that shit. And you know who really doesn't want to hear that shit? Average voters. They really don't want to hear that it's their goddamn fault, because these average voters want to blame somebody who isn't them. And unless you get on board with blaming the people they want you to blame, you're not going to win their confidence enough to have them vote for you. You have to ask yourself, how far are you willing to compromise your principles to appeal to people who are fucked in the head because they've listened to liars their entire lives? And speaking of the legacy media,
this is from New York Magazine today. Quote, there's no vision for why it should exist inside the Washington Post existential meltdown. It's been another terrible week for the Washington Post. The newsroom is bracing for a devastating round of layoffs, with rumors flying that some desks may be shuttered entirely. Sports writers were stunned to hear they would no longer be attending the Winter Olympics in Italy. Management later reversed course, saying a small contingent would cover the event. While the Post's foreign correspondents have been pleading with owner Jeff Bezos to spare their department in desperate posts on X, noting the groundbreaking work they've done in Ukraine, Middle East, Venezuela, and elsewhere at a time when Donald Trump's foreign policy activity has been frenetic. For the time being, no one knows how deep the cuts will actually be, but staffers are anticipating about 100 job losses in the roughly 800-person newsroom alone. One staffer told me that every desk is allegedly losing jobs. The expectation is they'll hit next week. The ostensible reason for the layoffs is that the Post, like many other newspapers, is losing money. We canceled our subscription. I don't know.
Well, to the SJR, to the State Journal Register, which is the size of a twig and is obituaries and local sports. And a bunch of rip and read stories from Rockford, which is 300 miles north of here.
North of us, yes.
Yeah.
But unlike other newspapers, the Post is also in the midst of a demoralizing destruction of its brand that has alienated hundreds of thousands of subscribers and left even its staff unsure what the paper's trying to do, both journalistically and business-wise. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos' wife is hot, Driftglass.
She's hot. He had a great wedding.
Big tits.
He rented a whole city in Venice. He rented Venice for his wedding. So, cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Quote, I'm increasingly finding it hard to justify the cuts from a journalistic perspective, said one staffer. Of course, financially, the Post is in a deep hole, and I understand that. But some of that hole, if not a lot of it, is because of Jeff Bezos. Under Bezos' leadership, CEO Will Lewis has floated a bunch of proposals to make the company profitable, few of which so far resemble anything people might actually want to buy. Maybe you did a headline that said, fuck Trump and tax Bezos.
Well, they're going to try a puzzle called Schwirtle.
Meanwhile, he has blamed the Post journalists for their plight, infamously declaring at a town hall in 2024. This is the CEO of the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Your audience has halved in recent years. People are not reading your stuff.
I've been in that meeting when the asshole manager says, maybe it's your attitude that's the problem. No, it's definitely not my attitude. My attitude is not great because you're an asshole and stupid and incompetent. But the problem is sitting facing me across the desk. You're the fucking problem. But when the boss is the problem.
Flash, you're fired.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
When people, this is back to the article, one more paragraph. When people were deciding which subscriptions they could live without, the Post was an easy cut.
Yeah.
And then Jeff made it a lot easier with his decisions. And now you're left with something that's basically on life support, said a former desk head. There's no vision for why it should exist or why I need a subscription to the Post versus another organization, unquote.
Right. Spend your Post money at the Professional Left Podcast Venmo page. That'd be a great place to drop that money.
Venmo, on the
Patreon.
Venmo app, we are at Pro Left Pod.
We're at Patreon. You send us cash. People send us all kinds of stuff. People send us all kinds of cool things in the mail. I bet you Jeff Bezos doesn't ever get notes like we get.
Oh, we get beautiful letters from people.
We do.
And then they say that they're a blue girl in a red state, and they don't give me their address so I can write them back.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I love your letter.
I realize it's very nice of you. Yeah, I realize. And we get some things like, here's $5 folded up on a piece of paper, no return address.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect letter, you know?
Oh, it is. It is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. But all of this stuff that's happening at the Post makes a weird and terrible kind of sense. After all, once you've convinced your audience that both sides are always equally to blame for everything, why do they need actual reporters digging into the details and bringing them actual news? They come to every story believing they already know everything they need to know. And all that's left after that is sports and horoscopes and obituaries. So goodbye, Washington Post.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. It was a pleasure knowing you. I knew you back in the day when you were something to behold. Mm-hmm. And of course, under the sloppy right-wing misrule of Barry Weiss, the destruction of CBS is proceeding right on schedule. And now that the New York fucking Times, I'm all verklempt now, Blue Gal.
You are quite verklempt. I've noticed that.
The New York fucking Times is losing its most celebrated writer. Where will it all stop, Blue Gal? Where will it all stop? This is from The Atlantic, and it was sent to me by roughly 5 million people today.
I love our listeners who make sure you get all the David Brooks news.
I do.
It happens. Yes.
Quote, The Atlantic hires David Brooks as a staff writer. The Atlantic is announcing that David Brooks, who for years has contributed memorable Atlantic article cover stories and essays on politics and social issues, is joining the magazine as a staff writer beginning next month. The Atlantic will be the home for all of David's writings, and he will also host, oh joy, a new weekly video podcast that will launch later this spring. I am so looking forward to that. David worked as an opinion columnist at the New York fucking Times. I'm sorry, the fucking is just me, for 22 years. In a note to staff, The Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, writes the following. David's work, his columns, his stories for us, and his many books have made him known and acclaimed around the world. He is, among other things, America's best pop sociologist, someone with a reporter's curiosity and a writer's grace. He is an unparalleled diagnostician of the faults and weaknesses of governments, institutions, and social structures, as our readers know from such stories as, unquote, because I couldn't bear to go on. Let's just say blah, 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 blah. And I, for one, cannot wait for the avalanche of saccharine legacy media praise for Mr. David Brooks's unparalleled genius and wisdom. In fact, it is rumored, Blue Gal, that David Broder himself will rise from the grave to give a toast at Brooks's farewell gala.
In which he will praise the fact that both sides equally love David Brooks.
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't David Broder give you the moniker, not you personally, of vituperative foul-mouthed?
Vituperative foul-mouthed bloggers of the left, and there was some other thing on the right. It was paired.
Yes.
With the people on the right. But boy, we took that vituperative foul-mouthed bloggers of the left and put it on a coffee mug.
We got a mug. I got a mug that says that. And that was in response to the criticism from the left of the Iraq War. That Mr. David Brooks backed to the fucking hilt and has never apologized for. And when cornered, when asked by a nice lady in 2010 at the Hammerschmidt Auditorium in Elmhurst, Illinois, where I was there and I filmed the whole thing, asked to justify all the terrible things he wrote about us liberals.
And she had clips in her hand.
He said, I don't think I ever wrote anything like that, and just moved along because he stood in the pulpit of a church and lied his ass off about shit he wrote. So congratulations, Atlantic. You now get all of that. In conjunction with that, Blue Gal, the good news just goes on. Yale University announced this, quote, Yale is launching a new presidential senior fellowship to expand access to the transformative work, that's a big word, that must be a liberal word, Blue Gal, because there's a lot of syllables there, of universities. As part of this program, author and columnist David Brooks will join the Jackson School of Global Affairs starting February 1st, unquote. And never doubt that there's a club, kids, and never doubt for a minute that none of us will ever be members of that club.
We might be members for 2 minutes, Driftglass, and it will be glorious.
It will be glorious.
But I got to say, all this David Brooks news of him, he's going to call it a transfer, but I'm going to call it a retreat.
Yeah.
It all stinks to high heaven of lifeboat building, Driftglass.
It really does. It really does. Especially, I can't, because he's fucked up so many times. I've counted them all, but no other human on earth has. But he has such an unparalleled record of being wrong about everything.
Yeah.
And he writes one column over and over and over again.
And then he writes a column about, humility and sociology.
Right.
And puts a quiz at the end of his books on, the way forward with your own social structure and interior monologue crap.
Yeah.
And, I mean, what did they call him? Best pop sociologist? I really did throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah. The Road to Character written during the time he was dumping his wife and taking up with his much, much younger research assistant.
Yeah.
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 So it all, you're right. It all stinks of lifeboat building.
Yeah.
And
he's retreating from the Republican Party to do sociology.
Sure.
And talk about humility and anything but the party he built.
Well, and the last headline from the Atlantic that he did as a guest writer, as a writer, not a staff writer, was, if you recall, the neocons were right.
The neocons were right, folks.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wants to get back to the good old days when he was working for Bill Kristol,
Irving Kristol,
Weekly Standard.
Yeah.
Bill Kristol at the Weekly Standard, and he could write shit like that and get away with it. And I part of me says they're clearing out of space for Bill Kristol at the New York Times, but I don't want to believe that because then I'd have to retire.
Again, it makes you cry at this point. In other news, the media's amnesia machine is already warming up.
Yeah.
As we all knew it would. Republicans are already rewriting their roles, which is why relentless pressure, not sudden revelations, is the only thing that works. Pressure after pressure after pressure. From NBC News, a minor candidate who was never going to win drops out. Quote, Minnesota Republican drops out of governor's race, citing GOP's handling of immigration enforcement. Republican Chris Madell said in a video posted to X that he, quote, cannot support the national Republicans' stated retribution on the citizens of our state, unquote. Which is odd that Mr. Madell would only notice this now, since a year and a half before the election at CPAC in 2023, during his keynote speech at CPAC, Donald Trump said, quote, in 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. So that National Republican stated retribution was from 2023.
Yep.
I don't know why anyone is surprised that Trump made good on that promise. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Made it real clear.
Because that's what he cared about, was getting revenge.
Mass deportations and revenge.
Yeah. And the alert listener will also notice that Mr. Madell separated himself from national Republicans, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah. He's not one of them. He's one of us, Blue Gal. Multiple GOP senators have suddenly expressed a desire for thorough investigations. You have the usual on-again, off-again crowd, Republican senators like Lisa Murkowski, Bill Cassidy, and Susan Collins, discovering spines they did not have just last week.
And on the ICE front, swapping in Tom Homan for Greg Bovino solved nothing. Bovino has been transferred pending a possible retirement instead of being in federal custody or some other things I won't say on the show. 0 ICE goons have been arrested for lynching American citizens. You can practically hear the first drafts of the we didn't know narratives being written right now, while other MAGA scumbags like Megyn Kelly, I could say some words about her too, are digging in even deeper.
Yeah, it's all depressingly familiar for those of us with long-term memories. It reminds some of us of the GOP party split over the revelations about the Bush regime running black site prisons outside of America's legal jurisdiction, specifically so they could torture inmates. Half the party pretended to be shocked and then desperately wanted to move on immediately. That was the Peggy Noonan contingent. Let's just, history, things should be mysterious. We should just move on from this. And the other half of the party was good. Torture him some more. Torture him harder. Waterboard is nothing. That was the Sean Hannity contingent of the party.
The important point here is that expressions of Republican concern right now are theater.
Mm-hmm.
They're testing which position polls better for the midterms. Real accountability would mean arrests, prosecutions, and dismantling the systems that produce this. And if we get power back, God willing, the Trump backlash is going to be lit.
It's going to be...
And it's going to be setting up those guardrails.
It's going to be savage.
In law.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that has to happen is there has to be duty to report on behalf of all of the 25th Amendment people. Anyone who is responsible in that contingent for determining whether the president can continue due to health concerns,
mm-hmm.
they have a duty to report that.
Well, I think the first thing that has to happen, and this is just, we're just talking now, we're just speculating.
We're spitballing.
Is people need to go to jail. Lots of people need to go to jail because you and I we can talk about changing the law and putting up guardrails and so on and so forth. But if the people who broke all the rules the first time around and ignored court orders and ignored temporary restraining orders and just fucking blew through it because we own the courts now, the judges won't do anything to us.
Yeah.
If they don't fear the consequences of the law, putting in new laws isn't going to stop them. The only thing that stops them is slamming their ass in prison.
Well, and
lots of them.
This is the first mistake, was not putting Nixon in jail.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely should have been in jail. The Iran-Contra should have ended up with a whole lot of people going to prison. Mm-hmm. Reagan might have been out of it because he was out of it, but George W. Bush certainly was in.
He should have gone to jail.
And the fact that we decided we're just going to let these people off the hook, and of course,
that is a Washington problem. That really is.
Well, except you turn around 5 minutes later and they're impeaching Bill Clinton over a blowjob.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is time to get serious about punishing people, and as part of my 2028 presidential campaign, I will be your retribution, liberals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like we said, real accountability would mean arrests.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the legacy media is already preparing the both sides struggled with immigration enforcement framing for when Trump's gone. The amnesia machine never stops running. It just changes gears, which is why refusing to forgive and forget, refusing to pretend that both sides are equally blah, 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 is about to become even more important than it is now. Don't forget, and don't let anyone tell you that you're better off if you forget.
Right. No. Nope.
If you let it go under the bridge. You can heal. We can heal this country.
Yes, we can.
We're not going to heal it by papering over what Republicans did.
Well, that's a bone I've picked one-sidedly because nobody on the other side of this conversation wants to talk about it, which is I've gone in for tests. You've gone in for tests. You know what those tests were for? They were for diagnostics.
Yeah.
They were to find out if there's something wrong with you, and if so, what is it correctly, and then fix it if there's something wrong. There is this aversion to correctly diagnosing what the fuck went wrong with the Republican Party because so many people are complicit in it, and an aversion to fixing it the way it needs to be fixed, which is holding the people that put these people in office personally accountable. Republican voters did this to us. Undecided voters did this to us. People who couldn't be bothered to pay attention to our democracy did this to us. There needs to be some kind of consequence for that kind of criminal dereliction of civic duty. Anyway, continuing on.
So the next front in that war is going to be the regime trying to rig the 2026 election.
Yes.
The 2026 midterms, which took a couple of big steps forward in the last week.
Yeah. It's real clear what they're up to. And this isn't just the Minnesota extortion. Pam Bondi saying, yeah, we'll get the troops out if you turn over all your voting records to us.
Yeah.
Not just that. This is from Donald Trump's Truth Social account last week because, other things are going on. Quote, deranged Jack Smith is being decimated, all caps, before Congress. He wasn't. It was over when they discussed his past failures and unfair prosecutions. He destroyed many lives under the guise of legitimacy. Jack Smith is a deranged animal who shouldn't be allowed to practice law. If he were a Republican, his license would have been taken away from him, and far worse. Hopefully, the Attorney General is looking at what he's done, including some of the crooked and corrupt witnesses that he was attempting to use in his case against me. It's all about me. The whole thing was a Democratic scam, all caps. A big price should be paid by them for what they have put our country through, unquote. And why is Trump once again obsessed with slandering and threatening Jack Smith, Blue Gal?
Yeah. And there was a Democratic member of that committee who read this Truth Social post to Jack Smith.
Uh-huh.
And the look on Jack Smith's face did not change.
No.
Because he has had criminals mad at him before.
He's had
in The Hague.
Yeah, he's had people who actually have had mass executions done on their behest mad at him before.
At him.
Yeah.
So the fact that a criminal had mean things to say about him on social media didn't change his facial expression.
This man baby threw a tantrum.
He's a longtime prosecutor. He knows that criminals are going to be mad.
Right.
This is from the Associated Press. Quote, the FBI searched an election office in Georgia's Fulton County outside Atlanta on Wednesday, pursuing U.S. President Donald Trump's false claims that his 2020 election defeat was the result of widespread voting fraud. The FBI said in a brief statement that its agents executed a warrant at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operation Center in Union City, a large warehouse-like facility opened by Georgia officials in 2023, and called it a court-authorized law enforcement activity, unquote. Mm-hmm. And they seized everything. Voting records, tabulation machines, everything. And by the way, Driftglass, Tulsi Gabbard was there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
In Georgia. Mm-hmm. To make sure carbon copies went to Vlad, I allegedly.
Mm-hmm. And just for the record, let's all remember, this has all been already investigated to a fare thee well already. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There have been over and over and over again, this has been there's nothing, there was no criminal activity, there was no fraud. This is just something that a psycho in the White House cannot give up. He is because he can't admit he lost.
And they have no plan for what to do with what they seized either. Yes, this was a show for Trump.
I'm guessing they're going to lie about it.
Exactly.
I'm guessing they're just going to lie about it.
What we've seen, like things you've never seen before.
Right. I won by 6,000% in Georgia. Yes. Uh-huh. I have the proof in my hand, and Mike Lindell will take you through it step by step. New FBI director Mike Lindell will take you through it. Because these are just the worst people in the world. And remember, your neighbors, your colleagues, your fellow churchgoers are the ones who put these people in power.
Do you think Dan Bongino left too soon?
I think Dan Bongino, it's gone to hell since he left, Blue Gal. I think, he leaves and it all went to hell.
How did that happen? How did they let him go, Driftglass? I don't understand.
He was a treasure. If I may quote one of my favorite quotes by Mark Twain, I joined the Confederacy, served for 6 weeks. I deserted, and the South fell. So Dan Bongino was the glue holding this government together, Blue Gal. And then he left, and it all went to shit.
Yeah.
Now, back to the present time and reality, you will remember that on January 2nd, 2021, Donald Trump spent an hour on the phone threatening and cajoling Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, a Republican, to find 11,780 votes for Trump, which was exactly one more than he needed to steal the state's electoral votes from Democrat Joe Biden, who had won Georgia. When Raffensperger repeatedly refused, Trump all but came out and said that he had broken the law by refusing to do as Trump demanded. Now, jump to 5 years later, last week at Davos, Switzerland, where Trump told the audience at the World Economic Forum, because he can't fucking help himself, that everybody knows now the 2020 presidential election was rigged and that people will soon be prosecuted for what they did. And that's a quote from the president of the United States. Because he didn't know
where he was. He just didn't know where he was.
Well, he didn't care where he was.
He gave a stump speech and then he said that. You will recall that last week also saw former special counsel Jack Smith testify before the House Judiciary Committee. That's where all of this got read to him. Smith repeated that there was definitely enough evidence that Trump tried to illegally overturn the 2020 election to convict him of voter fraud.
And the only reason he wasn't convicted, he got reelected.
He was elected president.
Yeah. Yep.
And this was Senator John Ossoff of Georgia, Democrat, on MS Now. This is a seismic event. This should have people across the country absolutely shook. This is a huge deal. This is an FBI raid on the Fulton County Elections Office. This is a shot across the bow at the midterm elections. He tried to steal power when he lost it in 2020. And David Brooks doesn't have an opinion on any of this, by the way.
He's waiting for...
Moving on.
Yeah.
Remember, on January 6, 2026, Trump told his Republican congressional sock puppets, you got to win the midterms, because if I don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. Yeah, you will.
Yep. And if the Republican Party wasn't utterly hollowed out and empty and not one decent human being were left in it, then he would be impeached 99 to 1 in the Senate.
Just over his statements on Greenland, period.
Yeah, the one would be Lindsey Graham because you know, he's his splooge rag. But other than that, he'd be gone by now. Remember, Mitch McConnell said, "Well, the reason we're not going to impeach him is we're going to let law enforcement take care of it."
Take care of it.
Yeah,
and the courts.
Yep.
Because he's a criminal. Because what he did was criminal. Yeah.
All right, let's round up some news, shall we?
Let's round up some news. This is from the Associated Press. Quote, Senate Democrats vow to block House-passed funding package unless DHS bill is stripped out. Well, they've made some sort of compromise tonight to keep the government open. The Republicans do need 7 Democratic votes to clear the 60-vote threshold.
Yeah. This is from NBC News. Quote, internal government report contradicts White House narrative. Makes no mention of Alex Preddy attacking officers or threatening them with a weapon, unquote.
And before we started recording Driftglass, I took a peek at Media Matters, and everyone from Megyn Kelly on down is now saying, this was suicide by cop.
Oh, right. That's right.
You know what? Suicide by cop means the cop still shot you unarmed. That's what suicide by cop is.
And that was what your intent was. Your intent was to provoke them into
to kill you.
That's right. That's right. Fuck them all.
Assholes.
Fuck them all.
Absolutely. Megyn Kelly especially.
Yeah. What an absolute... Well, I can't say the C word.
We're just going to stop because I will say a lot of words that I'm not proud of. All right.
Yeah.
From The Independent, quote, Republican blame game on Minneapolis is in full swing. Even Stephen Miller has turned on Border Patrol.
Oh, no. Lassie bites Timmy. Oh, no.
Miller claimed that following the prior killing of Renee Good in a similar incident on January 7th, the White House had provided clear guidance to DHS that the extra personnel that had been sent to Minnesota for force protection should be used for conducting fugitive operations to create a physical barrier between the arrest teams and the disruptors. And what they did is issued a memo saying we get to go door to door.
Yeah, and do whatever we want. We don't need more.
I want Stephen Miller to produce that. Where are your guidelines?
Yeah.
Hey, Christy Nome, where's your training manual for ICE agents? Where's the DHS training manual?
They're in the same binders as the Epstein files, honey.
And the healthcare plan from 2017.
It's all very safe. It's all being stored away. Don't worry about it.
The chief of staff's remarks came after DH Secretary Christy Nome appeared to shift responsibility for her actions to the president and Miller. What did you call them? Rats in a bag?
Stephanie Miller. Yeah. Oh. Big bag of rats. Big bag of rats. All
fighting each other.
Yep.
Yeah. Everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen, she said in an Axios report. Then Katie Miller, Nazi Stephen Miller's wife and a popular MAGA podcaster, by the way, waded into the affair. She posted a snippet of the Axios story on X containing quotes from her husband about the CPB, which answers to Nome's DHS. A DHS spokesperson subsequently told Axios the initial statement was based on reports from CPB from a very chaotic scene on the ground. That's precisely why an investigation is underway. No, it isn't.
No, it's not.
And DHS will let the facts lead the investigation. No, they won't.
And by the way, Stephen Miller hiding behind his wife is just so manly, so very manly.
President Trump, who quickly came to realize he needed to, quote, unfuck, unquote, the situation Axios didn't actually have the U and the C in that word, but we
No.
kind of know what it said.
Yeah.
So he came to realize he needed to unfuck the situation because Rupert Murdoch told him to, by the way. According to White House insiders, initially stopped short of backing Noam Sunday, instead telling the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, we're looking, we're reviewing everything, and we'll come out with a determination. He put border czar Tom Homan in charge of operations in the state, had Immigration Commander Greg Bovino return to California and staged late-night crisis talks in the Oval Office Monday evening with the secretary and her top aide, Corey Lewandowski.
He strikes me as a top aide. Yeah,
He's
definitely
a top
is
aide, all right.
Yeah, he is.
Were they dry humping while the president slept over his desk? I don't know.
I think he had them put on a show for him because, he can't get it up. With his many, many diseases, he can't really perform anymore.
You did not have to put that in my head, Driftglass.
It's no extra charge, Blue Gal. No extra charge.
South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham.
He was in the corner going, yeah.
Also moved. This show is not safe for work, people.
No, we're recording it late, so we're kind of punchy. So bear
we're
with
a little bit punchy. Lindsey Graham also moved to shore up Miller's position.
He held her ass up in the air. So yeah,
Tuesday evening, insisting the president's faith in him was unshakable.
Yeah.
Unquote.
Yeah, shoring up his position is a way of putting things. Mm-hmm. Okay, enough of that. That's frightening ideas and thoughts. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the clock. We're fine.
This is from The Hill. We're getting down towards the end here, but quote, Megyn Kelly says she doesn't feel sorry for Alex Preddy, unquote, because of course she did say that, because cruelty is always the point.
And the Rupert Murdoch Wall Street Journal just couldn't help themselves, trying so hard to somehow, some way, both sides the murder of Alex Preddy. Quote, videos of an event aren't always definitive, but this is how it looks to us. Preddy attempted foolishly to assist a woman who had been pepper sprayed by agents. Multiple agents then tackled Preddy, and he had a phone in one hand as he lay on the ground, unquote.
Yeah. Now, they do go on to say they tackled him, they shot him, he was disarmed, etc. Mm-hmm. But the whole point of this is, but really, didn't he bring it on himself, Blue Gal?
He foolishly tried to help a woman who'd been pepper sprayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just foolishness.
That's right. Foolishness. Yeah. Then, of course, I believe that they believe that it's foolish to try to help people who are in pain because the Wall Street Journal. Also, the NRA just couldn't fucking help themselves. Quote, for months, radical progressive politicians like Tim Walz have incited violence against law enforcement officers who are simply trying to do their jobs. Unsurprisingly, these calls to dangerously interject oneself into legitimate law enforcement activities have ended in violence, tragically resulting in injuries and fatalities. As there is with any officer-involved shooting, there will be a robust and comprehensive investigation. No, there won't. That takes place to determine if the use of force is justified. No, it's not. As we await these facts and gain a clearer understanding, we urge the political voices to lower the temperature to ensure their constituents and law enforcement officers stay safe. Those political voices, Blue Gal, you know how they are.
From Wajahat Ali, quote, if Stephen Miller is still in the White House, that means the white nationalist game plan is still all systems go. What we're witnessing is just window dressing and distractions. Tom Homan is just as bad as Bovino, but less openly Nazi. Keep your eyes wide open, unquote.
And this is from Heather Cox Richardson, who we all love and adore. Quote, as the nation mourned the killing of VA ICU nurse Alex Preddy yesterday at the hands of federal officials in Minneapolis, President Donald J. Trump spent last night at the White House at a black tie private screening of a documentary about First Lady Melania Trump. Amazon paid $40 million for the rights to the film just weeks after executive chair Jeff Bezos dined with Trump at Mar-a-Lago following the former president's reelection, and is spending another $75 million to promote the film.
$35 million.
I'm sorry, $35 million. I apologize. To promote the film, unquote.
$75 million total.
Total.
Is the project, yes. From the New York fucking Times.
Well,
Yes.
just for Bezos, it's
Pocket
less
change.
than it's pocket change. It's less than Washington Post money. That's for sure.
Yeah. From the New York fucking Times, quote, the CDC's vaccine advisory panel said polio, measles, and possibly all shots should be optional. Kirk Milhoan argued personal autonomy outweighs preventable deaths. The American Academy of Pediatrics, and every pediatrician worth their salt, by the way, told parents to ignore the CDC's revised federal guidance and instead follow its full childhood vaccine schedule, unquote. I promise you, there will be pediatricians who say, if you don't follow the vaccine schedule that I want you to follow, you can go find another doctor
for
your kids.
Yeah. No, this is obscene. This is absolutely, and
it's also, RFK Jr. is just allowing it. Several people have said this, the entirely unregulated wellness industry, which is worth billions of dollars, to come in and dictate health policy. For the country. And it's, supplements and shakes and yoga. And I'm not saying any of those things are bad. I'm just saying none of those things are regulated for safety by doctors or anyone with any authority about healthcare.
And none of those things
spending.
And none of those things are polio vaccines or measles.
And none of those things are polio vaccines.
Right.
That's how you can do yoga, is you're not dead from polio or not iron lung from polio.
I wonder if the worm in his head really just hates the human species. And
you've said that before.
Yeah. And wants to kill off as many people as possible.
Well, and Elon Musk feels the same way. Like, we're going to send the super people to Mars. And and they're already, creating a private island for themselves, private countries for themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're better than us.
But, I have plans for them that don't involve anything we're going to talk about on this podcast. I will say that this is from Donald Trump, January 21st, 2026, also in that speech from Davos. As all their other lives collapse, this is the one MAGA clowns are desperately clinging to. Quote, protesters against the federal immigration crackdown in Minnesota are conducting fake protests done by agitators and professional insurrectionists. They're professional troublemakers, unquote. Paid outside agitators. That's fucking straight out of George Wallace campaign talk.
1965.
Yeah. Absolutely straight out of the white supremacist, segregationist, racist handbook from the South. Paid agitators, outside agitators coming to mess up our communities. Fuck him. Fuck him and everyone that voted for him.
Fuck him and everyone that voted for him. And in local news, we're going to end on a cheerful note. In the Chicago snowplow naming contest, among over 13,300 submissions, Abolish ICE made up over 9,200, or about 70% of the entries. We're going to name the new Chicago snowplow Abolish ICE. According to a list of submissions obtained through a public records request, voting for the top 6 names opens Sunday and runs through February 14th.
You know what? It was rigged. It was rigged. We're going to send the FBI in to get those records and prove that Abolish ICE was not voted by 70% by 9,200 votes, period.
Each week we post to our Patreon page and website an Internet Kitty sent in by you, the listeners. But this week's Internet Kitty is a pair of friends, Fluke and Blaze. They are lying together on a pet bed in this picture. Aww. Fluke is a German Shepherd, and Blaze is a Flame Point Siamese. Blaze, by the way, is a very big kitty. To give you some scale, Fluke, the dog, is 80 pounds. And Blaze pretty much holds up his side of the pet bed. And of course, Fluke and Blaze eat freshly poured pet food, our fake sponsor. Whether you serve Pet Store Perfection or Dollar Store Dreck, your giant pets will bound into the kitchen and cheerfully demand that the food they eat is only freshly poured. Freshly poured, freshly poured. Oh, my Lord, it's freshly poured. And you can visit Fluke and Blaze at our Patreon page, patreon.com/proleftpod, or our website, proleftpod.com. And you can send your internet kitty, dog, or other pet to us at our email address, proleftpodcast@gmail.com, where you can also write to both of us. Feel free to write to us. We love hearing from you. Be aware that if you write to us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service, go Postal Unions, letter on the air unless you say otherwise.
And here is your friendly reminder about our gourmet coffee guidelines. If you're able to treat yourself to an espresso-based beverage, we ask you consider treating us to one as well, because this isn't charity. This is how we support the work we do. If you can spare just $5 a month, we'd be very grateful for your support at patreon.com/pro-leftpod, or on Venmo, and then look up The Professional Left.
Yes, at Pro Left Pod on Venmo is our account, and there's a picture of us there, so you'll know it's us.
You'll see our smiling face, or at least our corn cob. You can also help us to continue to grow by sharing this show on social media. Hook it up, double date it with a friend of yours. If you love this podcast, introduce it to a friend. And thank you so much for doing that.
Hey, Driftglass, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Blue Gal, the Internet Kitties are diligently practicing their I never said that faces. They've been watching the Republicans and taking notes.
Let's think about living. Let's think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the bopping and the loving, lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the whine and the crying, the shooting and the dying, and the fellow with a switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left podcast is produced and recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright DGBG Productions. ProLeftPod.com.